I've got about $100,000 in after I've sold this house. So what do I do with it? Do I invest or do I pay down my debt? What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. My name is Dr. Jim Cellini. I'm a board certified practicing veterinary neurologist. And on today's episode, I want to talk to you about something that I accomplished recently. That is, I paid off my student loans. Yes, I paid off my student loans in their entirety before the age of 40 and under 6 years from finishing my residency. So wanted to show you in this video, walk you through my student loans in detail, where I started, how I was paying them off, and how I was able to pay them off, and the decision-making process behind all of that. So I'll cover all that in this video. If you don't mind, please hitting the like and subscribe button before I get started. Maybe leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about some of my thoughts. Please also do not take this for financial advice. As a general rule, you should never take financial advice from a veterinarian. All right, all of that out of the way, let's get started with the video. All right, so topic number one, where did I start with my student loan balance? So my student loan balance when I left residency in August 2016 was about $150,000. In a previous video where I talked about how much vets make, I think I mentioned my student loan balance is like $140,000, but I actually forgot about a loan. I forgot about a $10,000 loan from undergrad. But I left residency with right at about $150,000. And that's about the national average at the time, according to the AVMA. Now I think it's like the high 100s, like almost $200,000, which really sucks. Is a separate issue altogether. But the point of this is that I left with an average amount of debt. So that's my starting point here.
That's average.
Okay, so part two, what was I doing to pay them off over these years? Well, that kind of varies year by year. So let me walk you through the first couple of years. The first couple of years after my residency, I did really stupid stuff. I bought a lot of furniture, I bought a television. I wasn't very proactive at work. Like I would not really try to see too many cases. I would really limit my schedule. And so I kind of was just like, maybe even a little bit burned out, I could say, after my residency. And I just needed a few months of like me time, kind of like, I don't know, recovery after residency. And I had my student loan payment on a standard repayment plan. So I had it on a 10-year repayment plan, and combined, I was spending about $1,500 a month of student loan payments, which definitely hurt, but I was able to do it because of my new job and because I wasn't a resident anymore. So I did that. I plugged along between 2016 up until 2018, doing that and enjoying my post-residency life. In early 2018, I came across a couple of books and some online content that really changed how I thought about everything. And this is gonna sound really cliche, I'm fully aware of that. The book I read that changed my financial mindset the most was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I know like millions of people say this, but it really did change the way I think about what I spend my money on. The other source of content that I was looking into at the time and becoming aware of was Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey's very anti-debt approach really resonated with me because he had a way of motivating me into thinking, okay, I need to get rid of my student loan and I need to get intentional about getting rid of my student loan. So these were both great. They provided a really nice positive influence for me, but they were kind of conflicting because on the one hand, people like the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad and other kind of sources, they really recommend investing in things, and they have a heavy like real estate push. They like, you know, talking about real estate, investing and doing that. Whereas Dave Ramsey talks about paying off debt. So here I had a new job making, you know, better money than I've ever made before, but I also had a student loan. So which one should I do? I wasn't really sure about what to do. So I did both, honestly, and I don't know if this is the best way to do it, but I did do both. In the sense that I had my student loan on a standard repayment plan, and I started investing in real estate. I bought my first rental property, which I mentioned in a previous video, in September 2018. And I bought my second property in March 2019. And then my wife and I continued to buy properties after that up till today. We recently bought another property. And while doing that, all the time paying down my student loan until my student loan balance went from $150,000 to about $80,000, $85,000 by earlier this year. That second house in 2019 is the reason that I am now able to pay my student loan off though. So let's get into that story a little bit. So of my entire real estate portfolio, that second house that I purchased in March 2019 is the problem child, if you want to think of it that way. I bought the house, let's get into the numbers a little bit. I bought the house for $103,000. I put 20% down, and with that and closing costs, I spent about $25,000 to purchase the house. Over the course of 3 years, the house really was like problematic, and mainly it was the tenants that kept destroying it. As you'll see in the pictures here, this is after the most recent tenant left. It would cost me an amount of money to fix it and turn it around every time a tenant left that completely wiped out the year of cash flow that the tenant provided through their rent. So I really was not making money on this house. In fact, I was losing a couple $1,000s over the course of 3 years. So I decided to put it on the market. Remember, I bought the house for $103,000, put it on the market for $195,000, and it sold for $210,000. This was obviously very surprising, but pleasantly so. But I was able to make a profit of about $100,000, almost exactly, off the house, off of an initial $25,000 investment in 3 years. So it's like a 4X in 3 years, and that's pretty damn good. So I am left with what can only be described as a very pleasant conundrum. I've got about $100,000 in after I've sold this house. So what do I do with it? Do I invest or do I pay down my debt? Do I listen to Dave Ramsey or do I invest like Rich Dad Poor Dad? I ultimately decided to pay down my debt, and here's why. My debt has a fixed interest rate of about 5%. I refied it about a year ago. It's about 5%. That interest rate, if I were to remove the debt payment and pay that debt entirely off, that's the same thing as earning a 5% return on an investment.
I saved you. I guess that means I earned you?
If I were to pay off the student loan, I'm essentially getting a 5% return on my money in the form of not having to pay that monthly payment and incur that debt for the rest of the loan. So it's a penny saved, penny earned sort of mentality for me. If I can not pay something, that basically is the same thing as making that amount of money. So if I look at it this way, I pay, what's left in my loan is about $78,000. I pay that off, and my monthly payment of $550 doesn't happen anymore. So I'm saving that, which means I'm earning it. And that equates to about an 8% return on my money on a year-to-year basis, if you see it that way. And it eliminates the debate I have forever of should I pay off debt or should I invest in something? So I looked at the market. This is June 2022, and I can't find anything that I can invest my money in that's going to be a pretty definitive 8% return. In fact, every stock and index fund that I've seen the last 6 months seems to just crater without a moment's notice. And we're in this period where we're kind of in like stagflation, I think they call it, where there's inflation. So if I save my money just gets like less and less value with time, but also there's nothing great to invest in because everything is just resetting right now. So there's a lot of uncertainty with both saving my money and investing my money. And in my opinion, the safest thing to do in this environment is to pay off debt. So that's what I did. And obviously this is for me. Don't just, take this as financial advice. Do whatever you think is best. But these are my opinions. And this is why I ultimately decided to pay off my debt. And finally, let me just tell you, not having a student loan is the greatest feeling that I think I've ever felt, short of like, personal relationship feelings, stuff like that. Not having a student loan and seeing a big fat zero on my SoFi account, it provides a sense of accomplishment. And it also just allows me to say, you know what, that's done. And for the rest of my life, I can just take money that I make and put it toward investing because there is no other option. There is no other debt to pay down. I'm debt free. I don't have any debt. I just feel like a giant weight has been lifted off me, pretty much. And finally, for all the veterinary students out there, I know many of you are really hurting with your student loan debt and don't know what to do with it. I would strongly recommend, if you're a student or a recent grad and not sure, hop on the Facebook group Debt Free Vets. There's a lot of good resources and a lot of good discussions that go on there. I post on there regularly and comment and stuff. I posted a lot of the story on there too recently. But that's a good resource for you to find other people who are in similar situations to you. I know not everybody can do what I did, that's not lost on me. And I also know that it can feel insurmountable to pay off all this money and like you're trapped. I know that I can't sit here and say like, oh yeah, that you can pay it off no matter what, it's doable, because some people just have too much debt. But what I will say is that you can probably pay off more than you think. If you get intentional about it, you prioritize paying off your debt, change your lifestyle, do whatever you need to do, get a second job. I know that's unheard of in veterinary world, but work at vaccine clinics, do anything to get your income as high as it can. Get intentional with it, and you can do it. You'd be surprised what you can do with your student loan debt. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, I did not mean to brag with this video. I just wanted to show you what I did in order to become student loan debt free. I hope you enjoyed it though. Please leave a comment below. And if you don't mind hitting the like and subscribe button, that'd be great. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.